Hi, I'm Kipp McClurg, one of the pastors at Vestavia Hills United Methodist Church. We're looking at some of the funny things that we have had happen to us in ministry, embarrassing moments, and a way to have fun and look back at ministry that we've had. As I look back at my ministry, I think probably I had a lot more interesting moments as a youth pastor as I had at any other place. So my first story happened when I was very young in ministry. And we were going on a canoe trip. I was very excited because we had a new senior pastor, and his daughter was a part of the youth group, and so he was wanting to go as a chaperone. So we gathered all of these canoes. Our church didn't really have the money to pay for an outfitter, but everybody could find a canoe, and we put them on the back of this trailer. And the trailer had been made out of heavy I-beams, and it had huge axles. It was made to carry a race car. And so it rolled by itself because the four wheels would keep going. As we took off, I realized that I had not put the pin in the trailer hitch. And as we crested a hill, I looked in my rearview mirror. As I looked out my rearview mirror, I realized that the trailer with the canoes was passing the van with the kids. Wasn't quite sure what to do. They had not taught me anything about this at seminary, but I figured the safety of the kids was more important than what happened to the canoes. So I took off and I watched in the rearview mirror as the trailer launched into a pine thicket, and just a lot of pine trees moving a lot of different directions. Fortunately, the folks that had lent us the trailer also owned a wrecking company, a wrecker company, and they pulled it out, and there's no real damage done to the trailer, and really just one canoe, and nobody was hurt. But it was not the most, well, it was one of the more embarrassing moments for my new boss to see me as I launched canoes into a pine thicket. Another moment happened as a youth pastor, as I was at a chaperone at a youth camp, and we had rented these suits that made people look like sumo wrestlers, and so they're very bulky, and they're blown up with air, and you can't really move around, so we had it set up so the boys could wrestle the boys, and the girls could wrestle with the girls, and these two young people come up, and one is a boy, and one of the young people he was at the age, or this person was at the age, we weren't sure if this was a boy or a girl, and we didn't really want to make an embarrassing moment. We didn't want to add anything to it, and we weren't sure what to do. And so finally the other pastor kind of looked at me, and I looked at him, and he said to the young person, he said, we can't allow Coed Wrestling. And that was that moment of truth. And at that moment, the young person said in a voice much deeper than mine, "What does Coed mean?" And my friend was a lot faster on his feet than I, and he responded quite quickly, "Coed means that you can't wrestle with glasses, so you got to take your glasses off and hand them to me." And so the young man did, and for all time since then, when I see my colleague, I ask him if his Coed prescriptions have changed or if everything's still okay. And then there was a moment when as I became a pastor, I was early in ministry in a denomination that recognized both infant and believer baptism. And we had a lot more believer baptism than we did infant baptism. And so I got used to baptizing people. And one of the persons that I baptized as an adult she was more buoyant than I had calculated. And so as I tried to push her under, the rest of her body and her legs came up out of the water, which is not really what you're after in a baptism. And I kept trying, but I figured if I pushed much more, I could be charged with attempted murder. And so I had to sort of trust that though she wasn't fully immersed, it was enough water that it got the job done. And so we made it through that one, and I learned about calculating buoyancy for the future. And then the final one that happened that was embarrassing, I didn't do, but I had to live with the aftermath. I was preaching from a passage where Jesus is having dinner at the house of Simon the leper, and he's reclined there in Bethany, and the Mark says that a woman, and it doesn't tell who, took out a bottle of pure nard, which is spice nard, and anointed Jesus' head. I was at a church in the country, and the person who was reading that day said that the woman poured a bottle of pure nard over the top of Jesus' head. the laughs started, and I was trying to keep a straight face. But I have to confess that that sermon got cut a little short, because there are moments when you just have to say, it's over, and we'll try again next week. And hopefully you can get that image out of your mind, because I'm having trouble right now. Ministry can be a lot of fun, can be challenging, but there are moments that we can't forget. Thanks for joining today as I shared a few that stick in my mind as well. God bless.